Okay.
If you have the money for tomorrow, that works too.
All right.
Alright, well, I'll see you then,
Okay.
okay? Bye.
All right. Bye.
It don't really matter what you say. I ain't listening to you anyway.
Hi. My name is Mitchell. I am 19 years old. I have brown eyes and brown hair that I recently highlighted with blonde. I like to film things. I like to take pictures of my friends, and I like to make people feel beautiful and wanted and happy. I've never really made a video like this before, ever in my life, so forgive me if I'm a little bit awkward. I've always kind of just been used to being behind the camera, and never in front of one. I guess I should just tell the story, to like explain what this is, because I don't really want to consider myself a YouTuber ever. I don't want to be a YouTuber. I don't want to be like tied down to expectations of uploads or anything like that. I really want to use YouTube as just a platform for my work, and I think maybe even a little bit of self-therapy, actually, which is kind of the topic of what I'm going to be talking about today. And I guess before I can get into any of that, I kind of have to tell a little bit of a story. So about 3 years ago, I was a junior in high school, and I remember the summer before junior year, I went on a trip to Europe with my parents. And it was amazing and unforgettable, but the entire time I was depressed. And I remember sitting in a cafe in Venice, Italy, and my parents, I remember for the first time in my life, I told my parents that I didn't want to go back to school. And for me, that was kind of crazy, because every year I always looked forward to going to school and seeing new people and seeing how they changed or matured, or, you know, different clothes that people were wearing, you know, very just like interested. And I am a people person, so that, you know, that was always like the first day of school was always just kind of like my favorite day. And I remember telling them that I didn't want to go back to school because I, for some reason or another, just had no motivation left in me to go. High school, and I had struggled through school pretty much my whole life. I have ADD, which I've been medicated for my entire life, and I kind of just struggled through school in that regard. I remember sitting at that cafe and just dreading the day I had to go back, and eventually I did, and it was terrible. I, you know, through the first couple of months was just not fun. I just, you know, my grades were all right, but I didn't really try. I wasn't really doing anything at all special to make myself succeed in any way. But anyway, it came time around September, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and I don't really know what happened, but I ended up being diagnosed with mono, or diagnosed. I don't know what that is, but if you don't know what mono is, it's a pretty crappy sickness. That really, basically, all they tell you is that if the more you try to get better and the more you move around or try to be active, basically the sicker you're going to be. So I was basically just put under house arrest, if you want to call it like that, bed arrest, I guess, where I just laid in bed and I felt awful all the time. And walking up the stairs, put me out of breath, and it was just terrible. And I had missed so much school that they had to drop me from a couple of my classes, and I had to do a hospital homebound kind of thing. And I had a teacher come a couple times a week and catch me up on what I was missing at school. And basically, I didn't cross the threshold of my front door for about a month and a half. So I didn't walk outside, I didn't see the sky, I didn't see my friends, I didn't see anything. The really only people that came over to see me was my girlfriend at the time, and a couple of really, really close friends. But I I ended up slipping into a really, really, really even deeper depression than I was in. And I kind of just became a recluse in my house and in my basement. And it came to the point where my mother would sit me down and was crying and telling me what can I do to help you, and what can I do to make you happy? And I just told her nothing. Nothing can make me happy. Only my girlfriend at the time who came over really made me happy. I started going to counseling. My mom put me into counseling, and it was all right. It didn't help me at first, but I started to just be confident and just talk about how I felt and open up, and my counselor really opened my eyes to how not messed up, how sad I really was inside. So one day I was laying in bed and I was on my laptop computer, and I saw it was something like YouTube was pulled up. I remember I saw a recommended video or something, and it was a stupid gaming video by a guy known as Vanoss Gaming. He's a pretty big YouTuber now, but at the time he was still pretty small. And I remember watching that video and literally losing my mind with laughter. I thought it was so funny with him and all of his friends, and I loved it. And I remember I watched 10 of his videos that day, and the next day I got back on YouTube and it was I watched 10 more. Within a week I had watched everything that he'd uploaded, and I was just in love with what he did. I thought it was just so funny, him being stupid and having fun with his friends. It wasn't until I was going through some of the comments of the video, because I wanted to leave a comment on the video saying how much I liked it, and I remember scrolling past 5 or 6 comments in a row of people saying, hey, I was really sad today, or hey, I'm going through a really, really rough time, and you don't understand how much this video meant to me and how much it made my day. And that just kind of made me stop and think, because I was exactly, those 5 or 6 people as well, doing the exact same thing, and I made me realize that I was, the past couple of weeks, I was depending on this person that I didn't even know. I didn't know anything about him, or what he was like, or what his favorite color was, or what his last name was, or who his real name was. I had no idea. It was just this figure, and all I knew was I was counting on this person to make me smile every day. And that really stopped me in my tracks and was a very big component into why I'm standing here today, actually. So I got thinking about it, and I started doing some self-reflection. And my entire life, I've always just liked to make people laugh. I've always liked to make people smile. When I was younger, I would, just sit at the dinner table and try to be funny, whether I was funny or annoying. I tried anyway, and I've always had a passion for, helping people, and I've been told I'm pretty good at it. So here was this spark. And I got better from the mono. I recovered, but it was this spark that never went away. And I started getting more deep into YouTube, and I started following more people, and I started doing some, just some minor research through scrolling through comments of videos, and really seeing how many people, and it was amazing to me how many people were saying these things, like to really, really sad stuff, like I considered killing myself today, and I've just stumbled across your video, and I laughed, and I decided not to. Really really sad things, but beautiful things at the same time. And at that point, around January, February time, I decided that's what I wanted to do. I've always loved cameras. I've always made videos, and I've always just had a passion for film. But never was I ever told one time that it was something that I could actually do as a career or something like that. So this spark happened, and I was gonna be a YouTuber, and I didn't really even know the gravity of that, saying that. I had no idea what that even meant. That's just what I wanted to do, and I started, saving up for camera gear, and I never had a real camera before, and I told my parents I needed to have a nice computer for editing and all this kind of stuff. I had no idea what I was saying, but I was going to do it anyway. And basically their response to me was, if you want to do it, then you gotta, you gotta pay for it. So yeah, that I guess was the start of this journey that I've been on for 2.5 years, almost three years now. And I learned so many lessons, and basically I don't want to be a YouTuber anymore is the moral of that story. And you're like, well, why? But I don't want to be a YouTuber anymore. I want to be me. Since I started researching cameras and watching YouTubers like cinematic YouTubers and filmmakers, and I just fell in love with storytelling and cinematography and color and all this other stuff, and I just kind of have been on this self-education journey for about a year now, a year and a half. And I don't want to be a YouTuber anymore. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be a freelance videographer. I want to, work for companies, and I want to film weddings, and I want to work for music artists, and I want to, tell stories, and I want to make people smile, or think, or cry, or anything. And I guess that leads me to why I'm making this video. No, I don't want to be a YouTuber, but I do love YouTube as a platform and as a tool to be able to share yourself. And I am kind of using this as a self-therapy kind of thing, because I spend a lot of time by myself, and when I am by myself, I tend to deal with my anxiety that I have, and my worries, and a lot of other stuff that I deal with every day, and I choose to deal with it by myself, in a healthy way, of course, but you know, I've come a long way since that time. But I thought, you know, why not just make a video about it? You know, if I'm gonna be inside of my head all day and I'm gonna talk about it, and with myself, I might as well talk about it with a camera. And maybe one day I can look back and see, you know, how I thought and my process of life, and maybe it might help you or something, whoever you are. And unlike Vanoss Gaming, I am Mitchell, and this is my face, and you can have something or someone to watch. So, yeah. I have a lot of ideas and things that I want to talk about, but I don't ever want to be, you know, tied down to anything. I think I'm just gonna, whenever I feel like making something, I'll make something. And who knows? I don't really expect anyone to watch these anyway. You know, this is for me. This is for me, is what this is for. And hopefully it can be for you too. Yeah. So, yeah. That's it.
I have a rotor already. I'm starting to hear things coming up this way, and I'm getting a little steamy around the glasses. They're putting you somewhere around something to do with dogs, if you know what I mean. Something you might yell if you get very, very mad.